So it doesn't have to be a polished thing. Again, you're starting. My mentor, Ryan Levesque, always says, if you're going to do something well, it's worth doing something badly first, because you got to learn somewhere. So if you're just starting out and you don't have anything, it's worth starting these emails so you're practicing. And yes, you put your grandmother and your mother on your email list. My mother's on my email list, by the way. She doesn't read every email, but every once in a while I get a weird email back going, I love this. You did really good.
Step into the world of success with your brand amplified, the ultimate podcast designed to unravel the intricacies of thriving businesses. I'm your host, Annika Jackson, and I'm on a mission to uncover the stories, strategies, and secrets that have propelled entrepreneurs and business leaders to success. I'm thrilled to have Tanya Brody on today. Tanya, you started out, I see you got your degree in creative writing and drama. You were a performer, but it seems in everything you did, you were always the creative writing person as well. So I'd love to hear how that brought you to where you are today, being an expert in email marketing, an evangelist on email marketing, which I would argue is one of the most important techniques that we have today in a cluttered market. AI, people don't know what's coming up next, but being able to communicate effectively with those that you already have on a list is gold.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. So regarding my writing path, I've always loved stories. I was one of those kids who read really early. I, liked writing stories. I just have always loved writing. The written word is just sort of my jam, I guess. And as well as being a performer, I was a musician. As you said, I have a degree in creative writing and theater. I grew up in the theater performing, and I also grew up singing. I don't remember a time I didn't sing. So I was actually a professional touring musician for several years. But, and in that I wrote songs and I did all of our marketing because somebody had to do it. And we were not good enough to hire a manager and a marketing team at that point. So I was it. I was the one who had the background in writing. I was the one who had the background in, dealing. I had actually done some marketing up to that point. I had worked with a company in Minneapolis, which is where I grew up, that did creative brainstorming for marketing companies. So I had some of that information. And basically it was me just going out, pounding the pavement, looking for places for us to play. So, I had all of that experience, but on the email marketing side of all of that, we had the paper list that we put on our merch table where everyone scrawled their names and their email addresses and their zip codes. And if I was lucky, I could actually read their handwriting, to the point where every once in a while I'd stop someone and go, is that an A or an O? And they go, oh yeah, let me fix that for you. I mean, seriously, really, really lucky that I was able to get as many email addresses off of that as I could. But I dutifully put them in to a spreadsheet and we emailed them all the time. We emailed them whenever we were in their area, and we did a monthly email newsletter saying, hey, this is where we'll be next. This is what's going on. These are the songs we're working on. This is when our new album is coming out. Hey, but look, we've got new merch, all of that stuff. So that's sort of where my email marketing background came in. Was because I'd been doing this. I'd built an email list before email lists were popular, because it's how we stayed in touch with our fans. So what it meant was, as we got, more and more popular in what we were doing and we toured around in different areas, I could go to a venue owner and say, yeah, I've got, 150 people on my email list in your zip code, and we weren't playing, massive stadiums. We were usually playing, like the local library or one of the local pubs, or maybe a local Celtic festival. But the fact that I could say, yes, I can bring people in your door really matters to venue owners of every type. They're like, I don't want to have to sell all these damn tickets myself. So you know what? That's what I did, was I worked and made sure that we had some way to contribute to that. And that built up a relationship with these people where literally we would have people who would come to every single show we did.
Oh my gosh.
Because we'd sent them an email And, we'd see them at the first show and they'd be, hey, we'll see you tomorrow night. And we're like, really? Great. Because we loved it. And again, most of these were not, paid ticket shows. Most of them were free, but that's why they were coming. And for the libraries, that was awesome because that's engagement.
Mm-hmm.
That's tax dollars for them. For the pubs, that's beer, that's food, that's, people in their door. And some of them would actually charge a cover. So that's, if you think about it, what is the venue getting out of it? Well, you look at that, and that's really important. And then for us, we had a loyal following who really loved our music, and that mattered to us. And therefore we were able to give to them what they wanted, which was our music, right?
Yeah.
So it was a wonderful experience of building an email list and really working at creating that relationship. I still use that email list for my music. I still play occasionally, and I send out a monthly email going, hey, this is what's going on. Right now, it's not a lot, to be honest, but I still get emails back from people who saw me in Hawaii or North Carolina or, Texas going, oh my God, it's so good to hear from you. Do you have any new albums? What's going on? Oh my God, I watched your latest video. It's fantastic. That's 15 to 20 years old. So it's amazing what you can do with an email list. And that's why I say your email list is literally the most valuable thing you have in your business in terms of your marketing assets. I mean, yes, you probably have your product and whatever, intellectual property that goes along with that. But in terms of your marketing, that email list is your gold.
You've hit on so many relevant points here. Number one, you've built up brand loyalty by continuing to speak to your customer base in a way that's genuine, authentic, that makes them excited. You're answering them back, you're responding. And so you're really cultivating this, that's lasted 15, 20 years. Number two, you're able to fill these venues. You're able to solve a problem for the venue before, because I'm sure lots of bands come to pubs or come to concert venues or, and may not have a list. In fact, I know a lot of bands today that are still touring, but I don't think that they have an email list that they've cultivated. They're just posting stuff on social media and hoping that fans in their genre come out. So,
and hoping it gets seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wow. And to your point, in this world where Google's telling us cookies are going away, and then they're saying, oh, just kidding. And people aren't sure how they're going to reach out to the right personas for their brands, whether it's a band, a product, a service. We have to look at how do we engage people. And with social media platforms, right? With TikTok going away for a day and then coming back. And there's always going to be something happening in that world. And this is something I share with my students is if you don't have that audience captured, first party, you don't have their email, you haven't led them to your website to sign up for your newsletter or get a freebie or something. If this social media platform goes away, you're not going to have access to any of those people.
Yeah. Your entire audience, poof, just disappears.
Yeah.
And you have no idea where they scatter to. So unless you have them on several platforms, you'll never know. And what happens if all of those platforms suddenly disappear?
Yeah.
I mean, you remember a couple of times that Facebook has just failed for a day and the entire world was suddenly in turmoil. I mean, and not just the businesses going, oh my God, we can't reach our people, but the people going, I don't know what's going on in the world. I mean, you don't own that. You don't have that direct connection. So here's my favorite comparison. So to me, social media is like being in the club, right? All of this loud pounding music around you and you're dancing and you're having a great time and there's all these distractions. You're yelling, what? What did you say? When someone's trying to have a conversation with you, and it's crazy. But your email is more like your living room, right? And when someone gives you permission to enter their inbox, it's like they're inviting you in for a cup of tea and a chat, right? The two of you are focusing on each other. You're getting to know each other, right? You're actually having one-on-one communication, even though it may not feel like it because, you're sending out the emails and not everyone responds. They're still reading them. for years when I started my email list for this business, I had friends who, like the first people I put on my list, and they were like, oh, yeah, I'll do it. That's fine. Would walk up to me like even years later and go, I love your emails. I save them until like the end of the week when I have time to read them. And I was like, that's so flattering, because it means that I'm actually engaging with these people. And that is the point, is you are becoming part of their lives. I think it was Jennifer Aniston once compared her life as a star to Brad Pitt's as a star. Brad was a big star on the screen, and that was unreachable, and everyone thought, ooh, Brad Pitt. But Jennifer Aniston said, we're in people's living rooms every week. People actually get to know us, consider us their friends, not just friends on screen. That's such a great comparison, right? When you're in someone's inbox, they open your email because they want to hear from you, and they want to hear about your business and what you're doing. So I think that's so important to remember. It's not just what feels like a one-way relationship. It may not be a direct responding relationship until someone clicks through to your product and buys something, but it still is very much a relationship, and people buy from people they know, like, and trust.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear some things that you see people do wrong when they're thinking about sending out emails. I know one thing is probably consistency, and I will say I'm guilty of that, finding the time, making sure that I'm sending things out. So, what are some of the other things? And then how do we overcome some of these issues that we have as small business owners, perhaps, who maybe are a 1 or 2 or 3 person shop, don't have time. We have this perception that we don't have the time to do something that is the best sales mechanism, the best marketing mechanism, the best way to keep in touch with people.
And the one that has the highest return on investment in the marketing world. I mean, let's just be blunt. I'm going to put a pitch in for email marketing here. For every dollar you put into email marketing, you can get back from like $38 to $44. That's the highest return on investment you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. And people don't think about it. And the reason people don't think about it is because it's a back end thing. Someone has to sign up for your email list to get on your email list. Unless you're doing the creepy stuff that people do these days where they send you random emails. Don't do that. That's a wrong thing. Just wrong. Don't do that. I delete all of those. I mark them as junk. They drive me nuts. But the first thing that people do wrong, in my opinion, is not doing it at all. So either they don't have an email list at all, as we discussed, or they collect email addresses, but they never send anything. So there's this weird assumption that if someone does something once, they remember it. Oh my God, no. So I read somewhere, and this was like a years ago statistic, that we as human beings right now in this time are bombarded with more information in one day than someone in like the 15th or 16th century received in an entire lifetime. Yeah. There is so much information flying around out there. There is no way we can remember it all. And unless you are the thing on someone's desk on fire, they're not going to pay attention to you until they need to. So if you email someone once and you send them your lead magnet and you're like, hi, here I am, buy my stuff, and then you don't email them again until you want them to buy your stuff, they're going to be like, who are you and why are you in my inbox?
Yeah.
What is the point? Why are you here? And they'll delete you. They'll mark you as spam, which is really, really bad for your sender reputation. Because the more people mark you as spam, the more all of the ISPs, so Gmail, Yahoo Mail, Apple Mail, I'll go, that person's getting marked as spam a lot. That person must not be legitimate. We're not going to let them through. And Google and Yahoo have done all of their big DMARC updates, and there's another one apparently coming up that they're going to put a second layer that they've been promising to do. They just haven't quite done it yet. That's going to make that even more important, that you have this ongoing relationship with people to keep your sender reputation stellar. Because what will happen is all of your emails, whether it's to, your email subscribers or your mother, will end up going into spam folder, which is not what you want. So that's a serious problem. And then your ESP, email service provider. So, your Drip, your MailChimp, your, whatever Entreport, whoever you use will go, by the way, we're not sending your emails anymore until you clean up your sender reputation, which means you can't even email your people. So don't do that. Now that I've described all the dire consequences, here's why you do email regularly. And that is to build up that relationship so that when you do actually sell something, people go, oh yeah, Monica, been emailing me all this really useful information, which I really appreciate. And you know what? This is exactly what I need right now. Click. So that's thing number one. The other issue that I always encounter, and this is probably the most popular reason why people say they don't email, is they don't know what to write.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a word nerd, happy to admit that. Even I get stuck on things to write sometimes. And it's just because sometimes you're staring at what one of my members calls the blank screen of death, you know, and you're sitting there going, oh my God, I have no idea what to write. Well, ultimately, you have a wealth of information that you can just pull up because you know what it is that you do, right? People join your email list because they want to know what it is that you do. Start there. Start with the 3 most common questions people ask you. There are your first 3 emails. Boom, boom, boom. You know, what does your product do? How does it work? And, how long does it last? I mean, those are probably 3 really common questions most business owners get, right? Or, what does your service do? Is it a monthly subscription or is it a one-time thing? And how do I access it? Whatever it may be. These are simple things. Answering the common questions you get are great email topics. That's easy. Give us a behind the scenes peek at what you do every day.
Mm.
Now, in my world, it's kind of boring. I sit at a computer and type all day. But I tell stories about some of the things I encounter with my clients that my subscribers may be encountering too. That's still behind the scenes, right? So, what are the things that you can share about your life? I mean, I have 4 cats. My email list gets pictures of my cats all the time. What are things about your regular everyday life that you can write about? I actually went to see Le Ballet Trocadero de Monte Carlo, which is a fantastic all-men's ballet troupe last week. And I wrote about that in my email last week because they're magnificent. Seriously, they're an amazing troupe. And they've been dancing since like 1975. They've been around a really long time. So I've been going to see them since I was a kid. So that's a story. What kind of stories can you tell? How do you tell someone how to do something without giving away everything? Mm. These are all subjects that you can write about. And of course, if you don't mind, I'm going to take a moment to make a plug for my lead magnet because it's relevant here. I actually have a list as my lead magnet to get people onto my email list, which is 30 subject lines to keep your subscribers opening and reading every email. And it is literally a list of 30 subject lines and writing prompts.
Oh, nice.
To get you started.
Mm-hmm.
Because for a lot of people, that's the problem, is that literal blank screen, that white, they don't know what to start with. But if you have that simple writing prompt, like, oh, yeah, okay, I can go with this. And then you go through that and you adapt it as you need to for your business. And that's an easy, easy place to start.
And that's a great gift that you're giving to people.
Thank you. I hope everyone finds it incredibly useful.
Well, I am definitely downloading it because I recognize that I need to get back on my email. Right. And I have a great list. I just haven't been cultivating it. Whether or not I'm selling something, to your point, I still want, these are people that I've connected with in one way or another over the years, in whatever city I've lived in, whatever activities I've been doing that I want to stay in touch with. So
right.
I really appreciate your advice and some of the ideas that you've given us. Your company is called Email Marketing Connection Academy. Mm-hmm. So what are some of the ways that you work with people to help them get better at email? Are you strictly on the writing side? Are you also coaching people? What is your data?
Yeah. The primary thing that I like to do in the Email Marketing Connection Academy is I actually have a group called the Email Writing Accountability Group. I know, world's most original name. But the point of the group is for people like you who are like, I don't have the time to write. Well, if you set that time aside every week, you do. If you take that, that time, you put it on your calendar, it's like, okay, here's the thing. So the idea behind this group is it's a bunch of business owners, just like you, just like me, And we all get together and we spend half an hour writing our emails.
Nice.
Right? So the point is, get it done. This does not need to be a masterwork of fiction. This does not need to be a Nobel Prize winning piece. It is literally what's on your mind. What question are you answering today? Write it in half an hour. Get it on the page. And then for another half hour, we go through and we critique each other's work. So everyone gets my eyes, a professional copywriter, on their work. And that really helps them go, oh yeah, right. I need to fix this. That's the wrong there, or thank you, autocorrect. You put the wrong word here. But also, oh, that doesn't make sense. How do I make this clearer? Or, oh, I'm not really explaining what's in it for whoever's reading this. I'm not answering that what's in it for me question, right? All of those things that you really need in your emails, but because you're not a trained copywriter who does this day in and day out, you don't think about it. Mm-hmm. So because I do, I am like the perfect person to have my eyes on your email. So then we take another 20 minutes and we just incorporate all those edits, right? So everyone has their email done and ready to load into their email service provider by the time we're done.
Yeah.
So you just need to take the time. That is the primary thing that the Email Marketing Connection Academy is doing right now. I also have courses. I have a course on how to write that email in 30 minutes. Because I think that's the other thing that holds people back is I don't have the time. Because they feel like everything needs to be a treatise. It's like, no. Like 600 words. If you can spit out 600 words max, you can do 200 words and be fine. It doesn't have to be a work of art. It just has to be something that people can relate to. So I've got that course. I've actually got a course on using AI to create a list of subject lines and writing prompts customized for your business. So that once you've used up that list that I've given you, you can go, oh, well, I want to do something more customized. That's all there. I've even got a course on how to create your own lead generation funnel. So you have that email list, so you're building it. But the primary thing that I'm really trying to get people to do is to send that regular weekly nurture email. That's the thing that people just tend to fall down on is it's like, they're like, yeah, I need to build an email list. Great. Are you actually emailing those people? No. Why are you investing that much money and that much time in building a list if you're not using it to build that relationship? So, yeah, that is primarily what I do. I am happy to talk to people about that. But again, I recommend that you download the 30 subject lines because I think everyone will find that really, really useful.
Yeah. And we will, of course, link that in the show notes. So everybody will
be
able to find it really easily. And you hit on something that was my next question. AI, generative AI, it can do so much, but it also can't do everything that we can as humans. So I'd love to hear, how you've inserted it into your business, what parts you hold precious for your own writing, your own mind, right? And strategy.
So AI is a really, really good tool. Mm-hmm. I like using it for research, especially for audience research. Because, I used to literally I'd spend hours going through Facebook groups and forums and asking people individually about stuff that, about how they were feeling about X, Y, and Z. Or about, what did they think of this particular product or what have you. I did tons of research. And AI can do that in 30 seconds, whereas it would literally take me hours. So I love doing research with AI. I personally do not use it for writing. Computers don't know how to human yet. This is still a good thing for us humans, as far as I'm concerned. But the truth is, I have fed stuff into AI, and to me, it comes out sounding like an 11th grade term paper. So, even, the social media stuff where it's all perky and happy and has all the emojis, it's like, yeah, that's lovely. But you know what?
Most of us don't talk that way.
Most of us don't talk that way, especially not in email. And personally, that's not me. I'm not the perky 15-year-old on social media. I'm the 54-year-old over here in my office in Ventura, California. So it's like, be you. That's the first thing in my world is whatever you're doing, be you, be yourself and be your authentic self. And to me, using AI is great as research, is great as a tool, but is not practical for the actual writing part. Because AI doesn't know that I'm a huge science fiction geek and I talk about Star Wars in my emails. It doesn't know that I have years of experience as a musician, as an actor, as a performer. It doesn't know any of that stuff. So how on earth is it supposed to tell those stories? Yeah. So the whole point of building that relationship is so people get to know you. So yeah, write your emails. Definitely use AI for research, which is why I think creating that list of subject lines and writing prompts is great because it may come up with things that I didn't think of. In fact, I find that all the time. But I then take that and I put the human into it. So the other thing that I have done and will admit to doing is I will take the email that I write and then put it into ChatGPT and say, write me 3 social media posts based on this. It's great for parsing information, right? So it's really good at breaking stuff down and summarizing, or it's really good at, chopping stuff up and making it into different postable things. But your original piece should be from you, in my opinion. I'm the same way with blog posts. I've used AI to write blog posts, and what I find is it's great at the outline. I spend as much time editing the copy as I would writing the post anyway.
Wow.
So I may as well just write the post.
Yeah.
But I'll happily let it do the outline because it may come up with things that I hadn't thought of, and definitely for keywords. Oh my gosh, great for keywords. So, but, I still feel like when we take the humans out of the equation, do we become a society where we have a whole bunch of computers relating for us and buying stuff from each other? That seems weird. So yeah, I strongly encourage people, write your own stuff, be your own, and you don't have to be your own editor. Whether you want to come to my group or you hand it to a friend, read this. Does this make sense? Hand it to your spouse, hand it to your kid. If the kid doesn't go, oh, no, you're doing well. If they don't cringe at you, you're doing well, right? So there's so much that we have as human beings to offer each other. I feel like just letting AI do it is a disservice to each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I love using it for ideas or even things completely unrelated to work, like planning a trip with my daughter to, hey, we're looking at these universities. What's an itinerary and what trains or how do we get from here to there? It's really good at that because it's factual information. It's not that extra layer of context and storytelling that we add as humans. So I love what you've shared about use cases. I appreciate that. And also, I know people probably think, oh, one more meeting on my calendar. But it is truly, when I'm thinking about the meetings I have every week, those are the meetings that help me be held accountable and hold, the other people I'm meeting with accountable too for whatever we're working on, whether it's for my podcast, whether it's for the nonprofit foundation I work with or teaching or anything else. So the idea of having a group that you're going to go to, you're going to get things done, you're going to take action. It's not just something you're watching that maybe you won't actually execute, right? Because then you watch it, you get inspired, but then you might get too busy, or put it down on your priority list. So I love the idea that people come in, they write, everybody gets edited and in a safe environment, and then can send their email out.
Yeah. And what I really love about it is, I may see one thing, but someone else in the group may go, so this doesn't make any sense to me. And I know what it is that you do because we've been writing together for a few months. So that doesn't make sense to me. So can you clarify that? And that gives you more insight because you're not just getting insight from me. You're getting insight from people who may be similar to your audience. You're getting insight from another business owner who gets what you go through every single day. And I think those are so important because you're going to have, ideally hundreds of eyes on your emails every day, right? Every time you send out an email, you're hoping you have a large list that is opening these emails. Well, the more input you have on what makes sense, the better you're going to do to writing to your audience because you know them. You're getting to know them better, even if you're not intimately interacting with them, because you're still getting information from people going, does that make sense? Is this clear enough? And if one person is thinking it, 10 other people are thinking it.
Yeah, fantastic.
And what I find is I actually have a thing in the group where if you have to miss a session, you just put your email written in our Facebook group and I'll review it for you. And that's fine. What I find is on the weeks that people don't show up, they don't write their emails. Yeah. So that's part of the point of the time is you come in and you do the work. And that way you have that time assigned every week. And then it's being done. It's getting taken care of. It's one of those things I love the checklist. I love being able to cross things off on my list. It's like such a valuable thing to me because it just gives me that silly little sense of accomplishment. This is another thing you can cross off your list every week.
Let's go back to, you said 600 words. You don't have to write a thesis. You don't have to regurgitate every single thing that's going on in your business. There can be simplicity. And I think that's where people get stuck a lot too, is thinking, well, so much time has passed since I sent one out. What all do I include in this newsletter? Or do I do it over, do I reactivate and just put like one main thing in each one just to start recultivating my list and re-engaging?
So ironically enough, this is another thing that I've taught. And so you're talking about people who have not emailed their list in a long time. Yourself, for instance. Yes. So what I recommend is that you do what I call my apology sequence. And that music list that I was telling you about, that I still write to. So I had to do this with them. That was a list of like 2,000 plus people. And what I did was, because I just stopped playing. I stopped traveling around and I stopped doing music. And so I didn't have anything to write about. So I just sort of tapered off and I just disappeared, which is, in my world, the cardinal sin of email marketing is just disappearing. So what I did was I just wrote first an apology. I'm sorry I fell off the edge of the earth. It's my fault. I'm really sorry. And then I gave them a gift. I basically just posted a song for them. Hey, here, have a song. Just download it. Click here. Go download the song. And then it was, here's why I've been AWOL. That was the next email. And I just did this over 3 days. Here's why I disappeared. And I explained what had happened in my life up until then. That, basically my life kind of imploded. And I had to rebuild it. And that's what happens. And then the final emails, this was what's going to happen going forward. And you just say how often you'll write, what you're going to be writing about, and what's going on right now. Yeah. This is what I'll be writing about. This is what I'm going to be sharing with you. And I call that my apology sequence. It's actually really simple. I've actually got all of this on blog posts on my website. So go check that out. But the point is, it's a simple sequence. And the reason you do 3 of them is not everyone's going to see the first email. Again, you haven't been in their email inbox for how long? So, if it's been a couple of months, it's one thing. If like me, it was 10 years, you need to apologize. Yeah. And believe it or not, that a bunch of people on that list still open those emails and opened it after 10 years. So if I can do it with the list for 10 years, you can do it with one for 6 months or a year. It's not that hard.
What about for the small business entrepreneur who's just starting out? They don't have an offer yet. They don't want to do any of the fake methods of building their list. They want a true list. How do they get started when they're pre-launch, perhaps? And maybe they're like, oh, I don't know if I have anything valuable to offer to an audience.
So if you're in the process of developing a product, A, your email list is a great form of research. Mm-hmm. B, you can get people excited about what you're developing, right? Yeah. So, honestly, a common pre-launch thing is to build an email list so that you have someone to launch to. Right. And the whole point behind doing that is, regardless of whether you have a product in place or you are working on a product or service, you're trying to help someone solve a problem, right? That's the whole point of being in business, is we're trying to help each other solve problems. So those people still have a problem and you have knowledge.
Right.
Ultimately, everything in your emails comes from up here, right? It's you are the person sharing your information, your knowledge, your experience, regardless of whether you have a physical, tangible thing or something that a service someone can sign up for. You still have all of that experience.
Mm-hmm.
So start writing about it. Start writing about why you are considering creating this company, why you are doing this, creating this service, whatever it is. You're like, this is the problem that I see people having. And I mean, the simple way to do it is start sending it to friends. If you have never started an email list, and this is, I'll give you the link for this too, just so people have it. I actually have a guide that I give away. I don't have it advertised anywhere necessarily, but it's how to start your own email list, without having to do all of the tech work, basically. And it's a simple thing. And basically, you just start with the people you know. And you send out those emails and you get started. And, just like what happened to me, people will walk up to you and go, I love your emails. What you're doing is so cool. So when I started my email list, I wrote about copywriting because that's what I was doing. Yeah. I was becoming a freelance copywriter. So I was writing about, hey, this is what copywriters do. This is why you need copywriting for your business. I was literally selling myself as a service. I didn't have anything fancy. I didn't have any of these groups. I didn't have any of the tech. It was just, hey, I'm a copywriter, and this is why you need, a style guide for your company. This is why you need to know whether you use the Oxford comma or not. This is why, it matters what it sounds like when you have your company voice. That was the type of stuff I was writing about. So it doesn't have to be a polished thing. Again, you're starting. My mentor, Ryan Levesque, always says, if you're going to do something well, it's worth doing something badly first, because you got to learn somewhere. So if you're just starting out and you don't have anything, it's worth starting these emails so you're practicing. And yes, you put your grandmother and your mother on your email list. My mother's on my email list, by the way. She doesn't read every email, but every once in a while I get a weird email back going, I love this. You did really good. It's my mother. But the point is, you put the people who know you, who will encourage you, who might know the people who need what you have. And some of them will be on that list will be like, oh my God, yes, I totally need this. But I cannot tell you how many people, especially in that first year, I got random phone calls from going, hey, my friend so-and-so forwarded me an email you wrote. I'd like to talk to you about a project.
Nice.
That's what you need, right?
Yeah.
You need those supportive people in your life who are going to go, hey, George over here needs Annika's thing. Because I know that George is having this issue and Annika has the solution. So they will forward your email to George, and George will go to your website and go, Annika, yes, this is exactly what I need. Or even you don't have the website yet. They will call you up, you respond to your email and go, hi, someone sent me this and I need to talk to you. Can I be on your beta testing list? Can I give you some feedback about what you wrote? Because this is what I want to see. So put it out there, get started. Yeah. And again, yes, there's an entire way to build an email list funnel. And like I said, I've got a course on that. I've got stuff on all of this, but start somewhere, because if you don't start, you never will. And again, my mentor, Ryan Levesque, says, start before you're ready. Because if you don't, again, if you wait until it's perfect, it'll never be perfect. It'll never be exactly what you want it to be. But when you get input from other people, it will become what it needs to be. And then it will become what you want it to be, which is a thriving, profitable business, as well as something that is serving the people you want to serve.
Fantastic. This has been a very refreshing conversation. I've spoken to other people who are in email marketing, but what you're bringing to the table today is definitely very rich and thorough, and something, it's its own spin. So I really appreciate that. And, I feel like you've shared a lot of information for everybody who's listening at whatever stage they're in business. You have a resource for it. And, of course, we're going to be sharing some of your resources and your main website, which is Tanya Brody, copywriter.com, the source of all truth. Tanya, do you have a favorite quote, mantra, verse, poem, family motto, words that help you, keep inspired every day?
Well, because I am a science fiction geek and Star Wars is one of my favorite things, mine is actually do or do not. There is no try. Yoda, the Jedi Master. And it's true. Go out and do this. Go out and build what it is you want to see in the world. Because you are the person who can bring that to the world in your way. And, as you say, you've spoken to who knows how many other email marketers, but we all bring our own approach to it. Mm-hmm. So bring your approach to whatever it is that you are doing, because there's always going to be an audience out there that resonates with it because it's you and you are singing their tune, whatever that tune may be.
So, well, thank you so much for giving your time to me and to your Brand Amplified today.
You are very, very welcome.
Awesome. And to everybody who's listening or watching this episode, thank you for joining us. Make sure to check out all the solutions that Tanya has for your email marketing needs. Remember that this is the highest rate of return marketing solution that you have at your fingertips. So forget all the shiny baubles, right? All the social media stuff that may or may not be bringing you an actual audience, and get down to brass tacks and where you really have a valuable message to share with people who want to hear it. And I will be back again with another amazing guest to share their journey, their story, and some actionable tips for you. Until then, have a great day. Thanks for listening or watching to this episode of Your Brand Amplified. Don't forget to leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast listening platform. And if you want to learn more, check us out at yourbandamplified.com.